My beloved child, listen to me in this very moment, and do not delay what your heart has been warned about many times. There are places you thought were a home, but in truth, they are only rooms decorated with sweet words to keep you there. There are people who come near you with gentle voices, sympathetic faces, and gestures that make it seem as though they understand you more than anyone else. Yet beneath that soft covering are cords that want to bind you to disorder. I have seen what you have not yet seen. I have heard what they say when you are not present. I have known the motives hidden beneath smiles that appear peaceful. Therefore, when I tell you to leave, it is not the urging of fear, but the call of love protecting you from what you are not yet close enough to fully recognize. Do not think that withdrawing is always weakness. There are departures that are holy wisdom. There are steps backward that are the very way I keep you from being swept into a battle that is not yours to fight. You once thought you had to stay to explain, to heal, to clarify, to prove that your heart was pure. But my child, not every place is a place you have been sent to change by your presence. There are environments that do not want light. They only want to use your light to make their darkness appear less frightening. If you remain too long in a place I have told you to leave, it will not make that place purer. It may instead weary your heart, confuse your mind, and wear down your peace little by little. I have long spread my wings wide over you, but you have still stood at the edge of the doorway because you were mourning what was familiar. You told yourself that perhaps you had misunderstood, perhaps they did not mean harm, perhaps one more conversation would make everything different. I do not condemn your kindness, but I am teaching you that kindness must not become a doorway for manipulation to enter. Love does not mean allowing yourself to be tied down by words that make you feel guilty whenever you try to protect your peace. Forgiveness does not mean returning to place yourself in the same trap. Mercy does not require you to remain where you are being drained. I want you to have a tender heart, but I also want you to have clear eyes, to discern what comes from me and what merely borrows the name of love in order to possess you. Remember Joseph and the cloak left in the hands of the woman who tried to pull him into wrongdoing. He did not stay to argue at length, did not try to prove his strength by remaining near temptation a little longer, and did not think he had to defend his honor on the spot. He ran. The world may look at that action and think it was panic, but before me, it was wisdom. There are times when obedience does not take the form of a sermon, but the form of feet that know how to leave a dangerous place. Though Joseph was later misunderstood and thrown into darkness, I was still with him, and that very act of leaving kept him from losing something more precious than any explanation. Do you see? Sometimes running from what is toxic is the first step toward the destiny I have prepared. So when I remind you to stay away from a place, a connection, a circle of conversation, or an intimacy that seems harmless, yet causes your heart to lose peace, trust me more than your temporary emotions. The adversary rarely comes with a frightening face at first. He often enters through timely compliments, through concern that appears deep, through the promise that you will be understood, chosen, supported, and belong. But beneath that covering, you begin to find yourself explaining more, fearing more, and losing clarity more. What does not come from me often leaves within you a weariness that is difficult to name. Outwardly it seems close, but inwardly it pulls you away from my voice. Learn to recognize that sign. My peace does not need to manipulate you in order to keep you. My love does not make you panic and then call it attachment. You may feel sorrow because you must leave. You may feel isolated misunderstood, even called cold when you begin to set boundaries. I know that hurts. I know you once hoped that place would become a refuge, and you hoped those people would sincerely walk with you in the light. But my beloved child, I cannot heal you if you keep returning to drink from the water that has only made you thirstier. I cannot teach you freedom if you still call chains familiarity. I cannot lead you into purity if you keep standing where chaotic voices call themselves woodsmen. Let what is false fall from your hands, even if your heart still trembles. A separation that hurts in the present may be a great protection for your future. In the secret place where I am drawing you, you will not always hear applause. There will not be many people to confirm your decision. There may be nights when you wonder whether you are too sensitive, too firm, or missing something. But I will meet you in that very silence. I will wash from you the habit of needing approval from others. Before daring to trust what I have spoken, I will remove from you your dependence on the gaze, praise, and presence of those who cannot care for the holy thing I have placed within you. I will teach you the difference between loneliness and being set apart. Loneliness makes you think you have been forgotten. Being set apart helps you understand that you are being preserved for the right time. My child, do not be afraid when I lead you away from the crowd and hide you beneath the shadow of my wings. That place is not a prison. It is a refuge. That place is not an ending. It is a holy workshop where I sharpen your sensitivity again. I will teach you when to speak and when to be silent, when to enter and when to leave, when to open your heart and when to close the door. I will give you wisdom without bitterness, strength without hardness, gentleness without being easily exploited. When you come out, you will no longer be carried away by your beautiful masks. You will no longer mistake attention for love, control for care, or noise for life. Now, come near to me. Leave the place where your heart has lost peace many times. Step out of conversations that make you shrink, connections that cause you to doubt the light within you, and arms that are warm only when you stay silent before what is wrong. I am not telling you to hate anyone, nor am I telling you to live in fear. I am telling you to return to my protection. Let me be your refuge, the wall around you, the true light that guides you through every shadow. You do not need to win by staying where you are being wounded. Sometimes victory is knowing how to leave in peace, entrusting every rumor, misunderstanding, and judgment to me, and stepping into the place where I am waiting for you with a love that does not deceive, manipulate, or change. Under the shadow of my wings, you will be restored. In my presence, your eyes will be opened, and when the time comes, you will step out no longer as a child easily led by false light, but as one upheld by truth, guarded by love, and guided by my own hand. My beloved child, do not quickly conclude that I have turned my face away, simply because what you have earnestly asked for has not arrived at the time you desired. There are doors you have stood before for a long time, knocking with tears, waiting with hope, believing that if they opened, your life would finally be complete. But I see behind those doors what you cannot yet see. I see traps covered with false light, beautiful promises that are hollow inside, paths that seem to lead to glory but would ultimately cause you to lose the peace I placed within you. Therefore, when I close a door, it is not because I want to hurt you, but because I love you deeply enough not to let you enter a place where you would lose yourself. You call it rejection. I call it preservation. You call it a lost opportunity. I call it mercy, placed in the right place at the right time. I have seen you pour your strength into things that were never your portion. I have seen you chase an image of success that the world paints with applause, recognition, and glances that make you think you are worth more. You once believed that if you obtained that thing, you would no longer feel empty. If you reached that position, you would stop doubting yourself. If people called your name, you would know you mattered. But my child, I did not create you to live by the noise outside you. I do not want you to borrow your worth from things that can change overnight. If I allow those illusions to collapse before your eyes, it is not cruelty. It is the hand of the Father pulling you out of a burning house. Even if in that moment you only feel that you have been taken away from a place you loved. There are seasons when you think I am silent, but in truth I am covering you in wisdom beyond your understanding. I do not always explain immediately the things I prevent, because if you knew every danger, your heart might be terrified. I only need you to learn to trust that my hand is still at work, even when your eyes have not yet seen evidence. You only see an invitation withdrawn, a relationship dissolving, a plan falling apart, a dream being laid down. But I see what you have been delivered from. Attachments that would have exhausted you, environments that would have worn down your purity, praises that came too soon and could have made you forget who lifted you up. So I hold you back, not to delay you, but to preserve you, not to hide you because you are small, but to guard you because you are precious. Remember Moses, when he was still an infant, placed in a basket upon the river. To human eyes, it was a fragile scene. A child taken from his mother's arm, floating on great waters, not knowing where he would go. But in what seemed like abandonment, I had arranged a path no one could have imagined. The river did not swallow that child. It became the road that carried him to the place he needed to be. The basket was not a sign of failure. It was a vessel of protection in a dangerous season. Do you see? There are times when I allow you to leave what is familiar and pass through what you cannot control, not to destroy you, but to bring you into a preparation your own hands could not create. What you call being pushed out is sometimes the very way I move you into the position I have appointed. Therefore, when you are in the secret place, do not see it as being forgotten. I often build the most enduring things in rooms, without applause. I shape courage when no one is watching. I refine humility when no one calls your name. I purify motives when you have nothing left to boast about. I teach you to pray, not to control me, but so that your heart may come into rhythm with my purpose. You thought that if I loved you, I would immediately give you what you wanted. But my love does not always indulge desires that have not yet been purified. Sometimes my love is to withhold, to slow down, to remove, to cut away, to let you pass through an empty place so that you may recognize what truly carries life. My child, if you only trust me when the road is smooth, then that trust has not yet been tested. If you only follow me when everything is clear, then you are still clinging more to your own control than to me. I do not blame you for wanting to understand. I know your heart longs for certainty, but I am teaching you a deeper certainty. Not certainty because you know every outcome, but certainty because you know I am the one leading you. There are things I have not yet allowed to open because you are not ready to carry their weight. A gift given too early can become a burden. A position that arrives before its time can exhaust you. A connection not yet tested in the light can lead you astray. I would rather let you wait in my hands than let you hurry into a place without my protection. You do not know how many times I have fought for you in silence. There were arrows you did not see because I stopped them before they touched your life. There were invitations that sounded beautiful but contained poison, and I caused them to disappear before you had time to say yes. There were people you grieved because they left, but I knew that if they had stayed, they would have pulled you away from the path I was preparing. There were failures you once mourned, yet they protected you from a greater collapse. You only saw what was lost. I saw what was preserved. You counted only what had not yet come. I counted what you had been protected from. Now I am rebuilding you, but not according to the old image you tried to keep. I am not restoring you so you can return to being someone who lives only for results, rejoices only when recognized, and feels peace only when everything goes according to your will. I am making you steadier, deeper, purer, and freer. I am training you so that you no longer tremble before delay, no longer collapse before a closed door, and no longer treat silence as proof of abandonment. You will learn to stand in a season where you cannot yet see and still trust. You will learn to walk without applause and still know you are loved. You will learn to let what does not belong to you leave without losing your joy. My beloved child, surrender to me even the things you thought you had lost, the dreams you do not yet understand why they were held back, and the questions you have carried for too long. I do not take away in order to make you empty. I clear the space so I can place within it something more enduring. I do not allow you to be alone so that you will wither. I draw you into stillness so that you can hear my voice more clearly than every other call. I do not hide you so that you will be forgotten. I cover you until the appointed time is ripe. And when I open what I have prepared, you will understand why I once closed so many things. You will no longer blame me for the times I stopped you. You will bow your head in gratitude, because you will realize that even when you thought you were being held back, I was still leading you with unfailing love, with wisdom that never sleeps, and with faithfulness has never left you. My beloved child, be still and hear me speak this with all the tenderness of a father bending down beside you. The trembling unrest within your heart does not mean you have failed, nor is it proof that you are weaker than others. Sometimes the very place where you feel most shaken is the place where a holy separation is taking place. What is true is rising up against the false things that have quietly attached themselves to your thoughts. You thought they were only passing emotions, a little worry, a little doubt, a little confusion that seemed insignificant, but I see deeper than you see. I see the invisible cords trying to pull you away from my peace. I see unclean whispers trying to enter the place where you once placed your trust. Therefore, I do not come to condemn you because you trembled. I come to show you why you trembled and to bring you back into safety within my love. You need to understand that doubt rarely enters your life with great noise. It does not always appear like a storm that you immediately recognize and resist. Many times it comes softly, quietly, and seemingly reasonably. It may wear the shape of an ordinary question. Does he truly hear me? Is that promise still for me? Am I deceiving myself? At first you think it is only caution. Then you allow it to stay a little longer. After that, it begins to cast shadows over your memory, blurring the times I upheld you and dimming the signs I once placed along your path. You do not leave me in one sudden moment. Often, distance is built stone by stone through questions that were never brought into the light. Therefore, my child, do not underestimate a thought that causes your heart to drift away from me, no matter how harmless it appears. A very small seed, if nourished in darkness, can still grow deep roots. Falsehood works the same way. It does not need to possess you in a single day. It only needs to make you hesitate when I call, make you silent when you need to pray, and make you step back when I am inviting you forward. The adversary does not always try to make you openly reject me. Many times he only wants you to become colder, more tired, more doubtful, until you no longer recognize my nearness. He knows you love me, so he does not begin by making you hate me. He begins by making you unsure whether I am truly with you. There are seasons when you are wounded, and it is precisely then that you are most likely to hear wrongly. When you have waited too long and still have not seen the promise take shape. When you have prayed and circumstances have not changed. When others walk through a door while you still stand outside, a small crack can appear in your heart. And into that very place, a lie tries to seep like cold water. It says you have been forgotten. It says I am closer to others than to you. It says that if I loved you, you would not have had to suffer like this. But my child, discern this clearly. Pain is not proof of my absence. Waiting is not a sign that I have changed my mind. Silence in one season does not mean I have left my throne of love toward you. There are things I am doing in the secret place that your eyes cannot yet see, and if you allow doubt to explain me, you will drink sorrow that was never meant to be yours. Do you remember the story of Peter when he walked on the water? He heard the call and stepped out of the boat in the midst of a strong wind. In that moment, what upheld him was not the water, but trust in the one who was calling him. But when his eyes left the call and fixed themselves on the fierce wind, fear began to rise higher than faith. He did not sink because the water suddenly became stronger than my power. He sank because his mind was pulled away from the one standing before him. Even so, when he cried out, I still reached out my hand and took hold of him. Do you see? I do not abandon the one who is sinking because he once doubted. I do not turn away from a frightened child. I stretch out my hand, lift him up, and teach him to look at me again. That story is not only about the sea. It is about the waves within your heart, about the times you begin to sink, not because I am far away, but because you have looked too long at what frightens you. So when your heart is torn, do not quickly condemn yourself. Bring that struggle before me. Do not let it remain in darkness, because what is not named can easily grow in secret. Tell me that you are afraid. Tell me that you are confused. Open even the questions you thought you should not ask. I do not expect you to come to me with a perfect appearance, as though you have never wavered. I want you to come sincerely. A trembling child who still chooses to come near remains in the arms of the Father. The danger is not that you sometimes doubt. The danger is that you embrace doubt as truth and allow it to teach you how to see me. Do not let fear become your teacher. Do not let your wounds become your guide. Do not let dark whispers interpret my love. I am calling you back to clarity. You cannot tightly hold my truth and at the same time embrace assumptions that throw your heart into confusion. Those two streams cannot rule the same spring. When you hold on to doubt, peace is obscured. When you nourish fear, trust grows weak. When you allow chaos to sit where I should dwell, you will feel as though I am far away, even though I am still near. That distance is not created by my love, for my love does not change. It is built by the things you have not yet surrendered, by questions you have kept hidden, by wounds you have allowed to speak to your heart for too long. Today, I am not telling you to tear everything down in a single breath. I am simply inviting you to begin by opening the door. Oh, let me enter the place where you have been guarded. Let me uproot every root of doubt that has attached itself to your thoughts. Let me remind you of the times I kept you through what once seemed impossible to survive. You once thought you would not make it through a certain season, but you are still here. You once believed a loss would end all hope, yet I still carried you onward. You once wept in silence, and I still gathered every wordless sob muture. So why would you believe that this time I am not present? Why would you allow one small whisper to deny the long history of my faithfulness to you? Look back, not to live in the past, but to recognize that my hand has never withdrawn from your life. From now on, whenever a thought appears that pulls you away from me, pause before believing it. Ask your heart, does this lead you closer to peace or push you into confusion? Does this remind you of my kindness or make you doubt my love? Does this give birth to light or cast a shadow over your faith? I have given you sensitivity to recognize what comes from life and what merely wears the clothing of reason in order to lead you far away. You do not need to fear the battles within your heart, because I am with you in the midst of that battle. But you must learn to stand on the side of truth, not by your own strength, but by returning to me again and again, one thought at a time, one breath at a time, my beloved child, before you close another long day and let your eyelids fall in familiar habit. Pause within the tender embrace of my arms. Do not rush into sleep like someone who only wants to disappear from the weariness of life. I want you to understand that night is not merely a stretch of darkness between today and tomorrow. Night is a quiet, holy chamber where I draw nearer to you, where the noise of the world fades, so that my voice of love can be heard more clearly. When the streets grow still, when conversations cease, when you no longer have to wear a strong face before others, that is when I enter your silence. Not as one who comes to judge, but as a father sitting beside your bed, placing a hand of peace upon the anxious folds within your heart. My child, I know there are nights when you lie down, but do not truly rest. Outwardly, you are silent, but inwardly it is as though many winds are colliding. The things you tried to avoid during the day begin to return in the darkness. The words not yet spoken, the pains not yet named, the memories you thought had fallen asleep quietly awaken. You have grown used to calling it sleeplessness, but I look deeper and see a child carrying too many things that have not yet been surrendered to me. The bed I gave you for restoration has often become the place where you put yourself on trial, where you rehearse old failures, where you imagine things that have not happened, where you wound yourself with words I never spoke over your life. But tonight, I will not leave you alone in that room. I come to remind you that no darkness has the right to rule where I have chosen to place peace. Do not think I only speak to you in the daytime, during the hours when you are awake, working, making decisions, and facing the world. I also speak in the night, when every defensive garment is removed, when you no longer have strength to play the stable one, when you no longer have to prove you are resilient. There are things I cannot give you in the midst of haste, because your heart is surrounded by too many other voices. So sometimes I use stillness to draw you back. At times you think I let you toss and turn because I am distant. But in truth, I am gently knocking on the deepest place within you, the place you locked away because you feared being hurt. I do not knock to break you. I knock to open a way for light to enter. You have carried the long day into your bed. You have brought with you the gaze of others, the words that wounded you, responsibilities, fears, disappointments, and even things you have not yet understood. You lie down, but your hands remain invisibly clenched around those burdens. You want to sleep, but inside you are still fighting. You want to rest, but your thoughts keep running down roads with no exit. My child, You were not created to guard everything by yourself. There are things that must be laid down before peace can enter. There are worries that must be released from your hands before sleep can become a true blessing. When you hold tightly to what I have told you to entrust to me, the night becomes heavy. But when you open your hands, even the darkness becomes a soft covering that shelters you in my presence. Remember Elijah, the man full of zeal, who was also once so exhausted that he wanted to give up beneath a lonely tree. After great battles, after threats, after confrontations that left his heart weary, he did not need a long lecture, nor did he need to be rebuked for being tired. I sent an angel to touch him, give him bread and water, and let him rest. I did not despise his weakness. I cared for him within his limits, do you see? Sometimes the most sacred thing I do for a person is not immediately commanding him to rise and conquer another mountain, but allowing him to lie down, receive nourishment, drink in tenderness, and sleep under my protection. That story is also for you. I do not demand that you be strong in the very moment you are falling apart. I want you first to receive my care. So tonight, do not see your weariness as failure. There are tears that fall onto pillows that heaven still keeps. There are wordless sighs that I fully understand. There are moments when you can only lie still, unable to form a prayer, not knowing where to begin. And yet I am still there. I do not need you to present your pain perfectly. I only need you to stop pretending that you can heal every wounded by silence. Let me draw near to the part of you that you have hidden for too long. Let me touch the places you are afraid others might see. Let me teach you that rest is not escape, but an act of trust. You trust that when you close your eyes, I remain awake. When you release your grip, I continue to hold. When you cannot control tomorrow, I have already gone before you, my beloved child. Do not let the darkness deceive you into thinking you have been forgotten. Night is dark only to your tired eyes, but to me, everything is still clear. I see your room, see the thoughts crowding in, see the pressures weighing heavily, and see even the loneliness you do not want to name. But I also see the dawn being prepared for you. I see new strength being woven again during the hours you allow yourself to rest. I see the things you cannot fix being arranged by me. I see the doors you thought were closed being opened at the right time. Do not carry the ghosts of old days into tonight's sleep anymore. Give them to me, one by one, without rushing, without hiding, without trying to make yourself appear braver than you truly are. Now let your heart settle like water after the wind. Breathe more slowly, not to force yourself into peace, but to become aware that I am near. Noisy thoughts are not your master. Old memories are not your prison. The words others have spoken are not the sentence over your life. I am the one who calls your name with love. I am the one who has known you from the beginning. I am the one who guards your night and prepares your tomorrow. Sleep in that protection. Rest like a child covered with a blanket by the Father. Not because every problem has disappeared, but because you no longer have to stay awake all night holding everything up alone. Tonight, I give you not only sleep, I give you deep rest where your heart learns to trust again, where pain is softened, and where peace begins to bloom like the first light before dawn.